He thinks it's funny, but I've got stories that can end his legacy.
The wildest NBA clash is exploding right now after LeBron James and Kevin Durant tried to clown Michael Jordan, and it backfired harder than they ever expected. It all started on the Mind the Game podcast with Steve Nash, where Durant made a joke about Jordan that wasn't just playful, but came off as flat-out disrespectful.
Good spot.
Who, me and Michael?
Jordan?
Yeah, we're in a good spot. We don't talk.
Why not, do you think?
Because I'm still playing.
LeBron didn't just laugh. He laughed like he wanted to start a fire. The kind of laugh that says, yeah, I meant that. But this time, it wasn't about stats, rings, or highlights. They crossed into something personal, something that touched Michael Jordan's family, and that's when the whole vibe shifted. Jordan didn't stay quiet for a second. He fired back with one brutal line that froze the league. He thinks it's funny, but I've got stories that can end his legacy. That hit like a thunderbolt. And MJ didn't stop there. He came with receipts, real behind-the-scenes information about LeBron's alleged ties to shady people, and whispers about off-court help. Suddenly, the drama spiraled out of control. Fans were stunned, players were picking sides, and the internet couldn't stop dissecting every second of it. Today, we're breaking it all down. The disrespectful joke, MJ's icy clapback, and the explosive claims that could rewrite LeBron and KD's legacies forever. It all began the moment cameras rolled on Mind the Game. What started as simple talk about longevity, minutes, and rest turned into the biggest basketball storm of the year. Then, out of nowhere, KD dropped the slickest, most low-key diss the NBA has ever heard. While discussing nothing serious, he casually delivered a line so smooth it almost slipped by unnoticed. But it wasn't random. It was a direct shot at Michael Jordan's deepest wound, basically implying Mike quit when things got tough. And the wildest part wasn't the joke, it was LeBron's reaction. You can see him trying to hold it in, biting his lip before bursting into a full-on laugh, like he'd been waiting for that moment. That's when you realize this wasn't spontaneous. It sounded rehearsed, like something they joked about privately long before the cameras turned on.
You know what I'm saying?
You know how hard it is.
Some people say, I want to go play baseball.
Right?
Yeah. And then I want to come back.
But here's where everything gets heavy. Michael Jordan's break to play baseball came right after losing his father, a moment rooted in real trauma, not some random career stunt. Switching to baseball was his way of honoring his dad's dream, plain and simple. So when KD turned that moment into a punchline, he crossed a line. He touched a chapter of Mike's life that should never be joked about. Once that clip hit social media, it went nuclear. Fans shredded LeBron and KD without mercy, and analysts weren't any softer, replaying the footage, slowing it down, breaking apart every second, calling it exactly what it was, a deliberate shot at MJ's legacy. And let's be honest, KD knows Jordan's history inside out. That's why everyone knew it wasn't an accident. It was a shot fired, and LeBron's laugh only poured gasoline on the fire. One superstar making a bad joke is one thing, but two all-time legends smirking about the GOAT's most painful moment? That's one of the weakest moves the league has seen in years. If you want to take shots at MJ, keep it about basketball. Talk about the Wizards' years. Joke about him roasting teammates, whatever. But don't touch the one thing rooted in pure grief. Sure, some fans tried to defend KD, saying he didn't mean it that way. Cute, but irrelevant. Once something hits that deep, intent doesn't save you. The second LeBron laughed, the whole energy shifted. What makes this even wilder is how KD and LeBron always act above drama, yet somehow they create the biggest chaos in the league. KD gets sensitive over harmless comments online, but he's quick to start a cold war on a podcast. And LeBron? He's mastered the art of fake peace, shaking hands and smiling with MJ when cameras are on, but behind closed doors, laughing like he's watching stand-up. Here's the thing about Michael Jordan. He stays silent until someone hits the wrong button. KD and LeBron hit the one button they never should have touched. People called that clip a betrayal, but if you know their history, it tracks perfectly. LeBron and MJ have never vibed, and they're not about to start now. LeBron laughing at KD's joke wasn't an accident. It was exactly on brand. Need proof? Look back at his Pat McAfee show interview earlier this year. LeBron openly admitted he and MJ don't talk at all. He tried to play it off by saying MJ is too competitive and doesn't talk to current players until they retire, but the message was loud and clear.
Got it? Okay, guys, everybody.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time. For some, I felt.
This is nothing but a Michael Jordan dish, bro. A Michael Jordan headshot. And it's crazy coming for a like KD, who has literally talking about...
But come on, everyone knows that story doesn't hold up. The MJ we've all watched for decades talked to plenty of active players. He mentored Kobe Bryant so deeply they became like family. And let's be honest, Kobe was a far bigger threat to MJ's legacy than LeBron ever was. That whole too competitive to talk line from LeBron sounded like when someone claims their friend isn't ignoring them, they're just busy. Yeah, okay. Then LeBron added that once he retires, he and MJ will finally get close. Please. That's like saying, I'll finally call my dad after I move out. It's awkward, forced, and you can hear the tension underneath it. If they aren't close now, retirement won't magically make MJ grab the phone and start bonding. That's not who Michael Jordan is. And the fact that LeBron even brought it up shows how much that distance weighs on him. You don't say something like that unless it's been bothering you for years. And this rift isn't new. It's been simmering for a long time. Just rewind to the 2022 All-Star Game in Cleveland. When MJ walked onto the floor during the NBA 75 ceremony, the place erupted. He was dapping up everyone, laughing, full of life. But when he reached LeBron, everything shifted. MJ hit him with a stiff handshake, a quick, hey man, energy. No warmth, no spark, just straight tension. It felt like two people who used to talk but haven't spoken in forever. Then, MJ spotted Luka Doncic a moment later and lit up like he'd run into someone he genuinely missed. The contrast was unreal. Inside LeBron's own arena, on his big night, MJ showed more love to Luka than to LeBron. And honestly, you can't blame him. LeBron has poked Jordan's pride too many times. The biggest shot came when LeBron went on TV after the 2016 finals and declared himself the greatest player of all time. That was the crack heard around the basketball world. Before that moment, LeBron couldn't stop praising MJ. He wore 23, copied his celebrations, and constantly said Jordan was the reason he picked up a basketball. Then suddenly he flips and crowns himself the GOAT while MJ's sitting at home watching quietly. And that's the thing. Jordan is competitive, sure, but he's also proud. If someone wants to take his throne, fine, earn it. Just don't hand yourself the crown before the king is even done talking.
And at this time, I had no thoughts of coming back and playing a game of basketball. So when I did decide to come back in 1995, and then we played Utah in 96, I'm at the center circle, and Brian Russell sitting next to me, and I look over to Brian. I said, "You remember this conversation you made in 1994 about, I think I can guard you, I can shut you down, I would love to play against you. Well, you about to get your chance." He was caught dressed like my housekeeper, calls himself the GOAT.
And then there's the never-ending one-on-one talk. Every few years, those clips pop up again. LeBron confidently saying he'd beat MJ in a prime versus prime matchup. And he never says it humbly either. He delivers it like he's promoting a summer blockbuster, cracking jokes like, we'd both need wheelchairs after that game, or they'd need stretchers waiting on the sideline. Sure, it sounds funny on the surface, but when you're talking about the man whose legacy you've chased your entire career, those kinds of comments hit differently. They aren't just playful, they're layered. So you can understand why MJ wouldn't be smiling hearing that. And this is exactly why KD's so-called baseball joke wasn't harmless. It cut deep, because that chapter of MJ's life wasn't random. It was tied to his father, James Jordan Sr., and built on real grief. Back then, Michael was juggling massive pressure on the court, intense media scrutiny, and personal chaos. Yes, he gambled, but not in the out-of-control way people exaggerated. Even so, the stories spiraled, the rumors grew darker, and when tragedy struck, people jumped to reckless conclusions, throwing out theories that never should have existed. Michael didn't cause any of it, but he had to carry the emotional fallout alone. So when he stepped away from basketball to play baseball, it wasn't about drama, it was about love. His father adored baseball. It was the game he grew up with, the one he taught his sons, the dream he always hoped one of them would chase. So when MJ traded sneakers for cleats, he wasn't running from the NBA. He was running toward his dad's dream. But the world didn't care. Headlines exploded. Jordan quits basketball. MJ flees pressure. Was he secretly suspended? Conspiracy theories spread like wildfire. None of it was true, but Jordan still had to shoulder all of it. The grief, the rumors, the Bulls, the league, everything. It was brutal. And if the world knows one thing about Michael Jordan, it's that he doesn't take disrespect lightly. KD's little jab and LeBron's laugh might slide with another legend, but not with MJ. He remembers everything, and when he fires back, it's with absolute precision. Just look at his Hall of Fame speech. Not a soft farewell, not a sentimental goodbye, but a calculated reminder of who he is. It was a masterclass in controlled fire, proof that he never forgets a slight, and proof that no matter how many MVPs someone else has, they still can't touch his legacy. That night wasn't just a celebration, it was a message. Cross the line, and Michael Jordan will make sure you remember exactly who you're dealing with.
The LeBron situation, because what LeBron essentially did here is he used nepotism to get his son a job in the NBA. That's basically what this was. And most people agree that's what happened. But Bronny James, the son, did not play his way into the NBA. Most people generally agree with that.
To not have passed Michael in 30-point games, and he's played, I think he's on year 20, right?
KD is a great player. He's sensitive, 100% sensitive. What I said, and I stick by, KD is a great player. But he's going to have to win a championship without the Warriors to get the old heads' respect. And I used the analogy. I said, Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest ever, said, I had to win a championship without...
That's exactly why KD and LeBron should have never crossed that line. Some topics in NBA history are playful territory. Stats, rings, mismatches, eras, whatever. Go crazy. But that baseball chapter, that's sacred ground. You don't touch it. That moment in MJ's life wasn't a joke, it wasn't a meme, and it wasn't a punchline. It was built on heartbreak, pressure, conspiracies, and pain that most athletes would have collapsed under. And somehow, Michael Jordan turned all of that into fuel. Fuel that carried him right back to the league, right back to dominance, and right back to being the greatest basketball player who ever lived. But then came the turning point, because MJ finally clapped back. And when he fires, he doesn't miss. Dressed like my housekeeper calls himself the GOAT. One cold sentence and the entire internet froze. That line cut deep because it hit LeBron right where his legacy is most fragile, his image. His past isn't spotless either, and suddenly that little laugh he gave at KD's joke didn't look so harmless anymore. LeBron is celebrated by millions, absolutely. But for fans who grew up on the holy trinity of MJ, Kobe, Magic, the crown on LeBron's head has always looked a little unstable. And to understand why Jordan's clapback landed so perfectly, you have to revisit the moments LeBron wishes the world forgot. Like that old video call that resurfaced, the one where he's hyping up a wild party scene, laughing like everything was just entertainment. It seemed innocent until the chaos that came out of those environments later made the whole thing look way less funny. For a man who guards his reputation like Fort Knox, being associated with that kind of mess never fits the chosen one image he's crafted. Then there's the power play narrative, the one even casual fans talk about. LeBron's been pulling the strings of franchises for years. Trades, signings, coaching changes, people notice. And every time something questionable goes down, it becomes another crack in that GOAT argument he wants so badly. And look, whether the rumors are real or exaggerated, they exist. Jeff Teague even said on camera that LeBron mysteriously sat out when certain testing periods got intense, then came back looking different. That clip blew up instantly. And of course, the infamous Delonte West rumor, one of the longest-running, ugliest whispers in NBA culture, still gets dragged out every time his name trends. Fair or not, it follows him. And when you carry that many storylines on your back, laughing at someone else's trauma just doesn't hit the same. That's why the locker room felt the tension immediately, because here's the truth. You never hear stories like that about Jordan's teammates or Jordan's family, not once. MJ's reputation wasn't perfect, but it wasn't messy. And LeBron's, well, it isn't untouchable. And if you want to talk power, LeBron doesn't just influence the game from the court. He influences front offices, rotations, rosters, and entire franchise strategies. And for what? Greatness? Maybe. Relevance? Definitely. From dramatic TV specials to blockbuster movies to non-stop media drops, everything he does is built to stretch his shadow closer to MJ's. But Jordan didn't need theatrics. He didn't need big announcements or promo tours to cement his legacy. Michael Jordan was the promo. He was the moment. He built an empire on mystique and dominance alone. No hashtags required. Now compare that to today. MJ confronted people directly, face to face. LeBron? He's the king of subtweets and cryptic captions, shade with an emoji on the side. And let's be honest, LeBron wouldn't have laughed like that if MJ was in the room. Not a chance. Even the legends see through it. Charles Barkley, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they've both questioned LeBron's approach. They don't sugarcoat it. They see the theatrics, the control, the Hollywood shine. And when you stack everything together, the controversies, the rumors, the politics, and the contradictions, one truth becomes crystal clear. LeBron laughing at MJ's deepest, most painful chapter wasn't innocent. It was intentional. It was someone taking a shot at a level he'll never reach. But fine, LeBron still sits among the icons of this generation. KD, though? What kind of legacy does he think he has to be taking jokes that tasteless? Nobody questions his skill. On the court, Durant is a generational scorer. But off the court, his decisions, his sensitivity, his public reactions, they make that joke hit even worse. Because if you're going to take a shot at the undisputed GOAT, your own record better be flawless, and KD's is anything but.
LeBron in his prime, Michael in his prime one-on-one. Who wins that game?
Myself, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna take myself versus anybody. I'll tell you one thing, they're gonna have to have a few wheelchairs and a couple ambulances there to get us off the floor.
Trying to get back your timing and conditioning, really, to be honest, correct?
Yeah.
Let's start with those burner accounts. KD openly admitted he ran multiple fake profiles just to argue with fans online. Think about that. The same guy throwing shade at Michael Jordan couldn't even handle criticism under his own name. He had to hide behind fake usernames to defend his decisions. That alone speaks volumes. But nothing damaged KD's legacy more than the move. When he was in Oklahoma City, up 3-1 against the Warriors in the 2016 Western Conference Finals, it looked like he was ready to carve out his own path to greatness. Instead, the collapse that followed rewrote everything about his career. And rather than come back stronger or redeem himself with OKC, he stunned the entire basketball world by joining the very Warriors team that eliminated him. No revenge arc, no battle back to the top, no adversity. Just a shortcut. And he later bragged that he'd do it again 1,000,000 times. Well, at least he's honest. Now we know exactly how those 2 rings arrived. Meanwhile, Michael Jordan built 6 championships the hard way, and somehow KD still felt bold enough to mock him. Then came Brooklyn, where everything spiraled. Reports surfaced about KD demanding trades, clashing with coaches, and influencing decisions behind the scenes. Rotations, staff changes, front office moves, everything seemed to revolve around his personal playbook. And honestly, that's why he and LeBron get along so well. They both operate with that same control the narrative mindset. Loyalty, grind, accountability, those things have taken a back seat to comfort, image, and influence. MJ built the Bulls dynasty through leadership, fire, and relentless work ethic. He earned respect by dragging teammates to another level, not by hopping to easier situations. Even Charles Barkley called KD thin-skinned and said legends would never fully respect him until he won without Golden State. And he wasn't wrong. Since leaving the Warriors, KD hasn't come close, and every time criticism hits, he reacts the same way. Either lashing out with long online rants and petty replies, or hiding behind indirect tweets pretending nothing happened. Sure, KD can hoop. He's one of the greatest scorers ever. But he'll never match MJ's cultural impact or that raw intensity Jordan lived with every single day. That's why his joke should have never been made in the first place. It wasn't bold, it was reckless. Because historically, anytime someone disrespects a true NBA legend, the game humbles them. Just ask Dwight Howard. Back in 2013, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar went on ESPN and questioned Dwight's basketball IQ, said he didn't think the game and didn't really want to work. Dwight fired back with his Defensive Player of the Year trophies, but the energy was off immediately. Kareem doubled down. Dwight tried clapping back again, and it only made him look insecure. Deep down, he knew it. And LeBron? He's had his own taste of karma too. Remember Lance Stevenson blowing in his ear during the 2014 Eastern Conference Finals? Lance thought it was hilarious, just like LeBron and KD thought their MJ joke was harmless. And what did it get him? A permanent meme. This pattern never changes. Every time players test a legend, they get humbled. Younger players who mocked Kobe or MJ always found out the hard way. Those old clips, rookie comments, little jabs, they all come back because legends don't forget. And Shaq? Forget about it. Shaq built an entire career out of destroying any center who talked trash. The moment someone ran their mouth, they buried them on the court. That's how real legends handle disrespect, with dominance, not tweets. There's a universal rule every NBA fan understands. If you disrespect a legend, you get humbled. Whether it's a public roasting, an on-court beatdown, or history quietly removing your name from the conversation, the result is always the same. And we're not talking about just any legend here. This is Michael Jordan. Disrespecting MJ isn't a joke, it's arrogance. Because when you poke at someone like Jordan, you're not teasing a player. You're challenging the man who set the standard for greatness itself. Legends like him don't forget, especially when the entire world is watching. So yes, KD and LeBron basically painted targets on their own backs. No matter how many interviews or PR statements they use to soften it, everyone knows who the real standard is. MJ is dominance, mystique, cultural impact, and legacy wrapped into one unstoppable force. Rings? Check. Global influence? Off the charts. Competitive fire? Untouched. This was never about stats or highlights. This was about defending the throne. Jordan has been challenged, doubted, and mocked throughout his career, and every time the story ends the same way. The challenger gets humbled. So if anyone thinks MJ is just going to let KD and LeBron slide because it was just a joke, they're dreaming. That's not how he operates. MJ doesn't forget, and when he responds, it's precise, cold, and devastating. Now here's the real question. MJ implied he still knows stories that could destroy LeBron's spotless public image. Should he drop them? Should he finally expose what he's been holding back? Because if this is what we already know about LeBron's career, imagine the behind-the-scenes moments Jordan could reveal. But the funny thing is, he probably never will. That's not his way. He doesn't need to clap back. He lets time prove him right. So now it's on you. If you were MJ, would you let the disrespect slide, or would you fire back? Let me know what you think. And if you're rocking with the truth, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video.